All right, folks, this is Book Talk with Corbin. Glad to be with you again, folks, but it has been a hairy past 24 hours for me, but can't stop. You can't stop me. And you can't stop this brother neither. His brother Dexter Pitts. He's been with us before. You know what he's all about. So he's been here before. So we're going to immediately start talking about getting an update on his book. Brother, what is going on with your book? Give us that update.
Man, what's up, Corbin? Hey, I appreciate you for having me on again, brother. I really do appreciate your time. So the update is, as of today, I just pretty much was accepted by a local publisher here in Louisville, and they're going to do an assessment on my book. And then after the assessment, they're going to do the editing and the publishing. So
Fantastic.
Hopefully sometime here in the next, I guess maybe 4, 5, 6 months, I Am Pitts will be an actual book that you will be able to purchase. I'm very excited.
Fantastic. And that's the title, I Am Pitts.
Yes, sir. I Am Pitts, Memoirs of a Black American Patriot.
Great. Man, it's gonna go right up there with the rest of the classics, from Raise the Responsibility and so many others. We urgently need that story, man.
I can only hope. Yeah. I can only hope.
And now you're also doing a podcast too, right?
Yeah. I just started my podcast, the I Am Pitts podcast. It's on Podbean right now. Trying to figure it out how I can get it moved over to iTunes. I'm running into a lot of issues with the podcast cover art and such. But other than that, it's going well, man. I just hit 1,000 downloads, which I was surprised. I did not think anybody wanted to listen to Dexter Pitts, but I'm happily mistaken.
Right, man, that's great. So what do you think it is? Do you think it's where you think it's your message, or do you think it's where you're posting your stuff, or a combination of the two? Because it's really pretty daggone good, 1,000.
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. I'm doing a lot of my own marketing, putting it out there, asking my friends to share. Yes. And I think it's just the message in general, man. The thing is, I think everybody's tired. Everybody's tired of the news. Everybody's tired of being shafted. Nobody wants to hear what the news has to say anymore. Right. And people need to know the truth needs to be spoken, and I'm speaking truth. Right. And even if people don't like it, I think people are still tuning in.
Yes.
I think that's what it is. It's a fresh outlook on stuff. And it's not, I try not to be too negative, but negative things are happening in our world, if you can tell, Right. But I try to bring a positive impact on it. And like I said, there's not a lot of Black conservatives out. There's not. Right. This is still an untapped market and an untapped thing. But there's more of us coming forward. And with people like you, I really appreciate having you on or having you around, man. Like, for me, it's just, I'm happy to know that I'm not alone in this world, being Black and being conservative. Yeah. That is the best feeling in the world.
And, brother, too, we rarely really, we hear all this demonization of law enforcement. I mean, even knuckleheads like LeBron James talking about things, where he posted that officer's face and that kind of stuff. Just a flat out demonization of law enforcement that is systemically racist. Rarely do we hear from Black law enforcement officers.
No, we don't. We don't. And that's because I think a lot of Black law enforcement officers that are conservative are scared to speak out. Because as we see, even here in Louisville, we had officers that were marching in uniform with Black Lives Matter, getting down on the knee, raising their fists in uniform while on the clock.
Wow.
But if we have officers that speak out on the other half, like myself, officers that are conservative and don't agree with that, I think a lot of them are scared because, you're not marching with the in crowd.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as officers, we have to step back, man. We cannot get bogged down in all this stuff. We are here to enforce and protect the Constitution and nothing else, and people's rights. We are not supposed to be taking sides. If you want to do that, do it in your off time. Not when you're getting paid by taxpayers' dollars. Taxpayer dollars come from liberals, Democrats, Republicans, conservative, everybody. Everybody pay taxes, and we got to make sure everybody has the Constitution applied to them. We don't get to choose sides.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that, man, because, when regardless of your political views, you need some help, man, that dispatcher doesn't say, well, wait a minute, sir, before we send an officer over there, are you Democrat or you Republican? You don't be saying all that. They say, hey, where you at? Do you see any weapons? That kind of stuff. And them officers don't care. They want to know, hey, what's going on? Are you safe? That kind of stuff. They don't ask no political questions within the least.
I got a saying that for when we're at work and when the tones go off, typically when the tones go off, that means something bad has happened. Somebody's been shot, stabbed, or there's some sort of emergency situation. I came up with the saying that said all tones matter. Like when the tones go off, we don't really care. We don't know who it is. We just know we got to get there and somebody needs help. We don't ask all these pre-qualifying questions.
There you go. I've had a couple of run-ins with the police, but the majority of times, man, the brothers have stepped up and tried to help me out. They've exercised some tough love when they could have, taken me in. They didn't. They exercised some tough love. So look, you get this fixed now. I'd run off and get it fixed. Sometimes I'd call them and say, officer, I got it fixed. He said, good job, man. Good job. But
that's what law enforcement is there for. But, I tell people I've been a cop 10 years and you know what? I still get nervous when police get behind me, but that's because I know I was just speeding.
Right.
And I know I wasn't wearing my seatbelt, and I knew I was swerving. The only time I get nervous is when I know I'm dirty, when I'm riding dirty. That's the only time I get nervous. Other than that, no, I have no fears. I say I've walked away from many of police encounters before I was a cop and since I've been a cop. Like I said, I can teach people how to survive an encounter with a cop. It's really easy. It's called respect and do as you're told. And if you're done wrong, guess what? There is a process to go through to where if you feel like your rights have been violated, you're going to get paid. On the side of the road is not the time to have justice court and to try to argue because you're not going to win. We say that you're not going to win. If you want to win, let that cop do his thing. And after that, get your lawyer and sue. Right. That's what I tell people. That it is that simple. Because it just drives me crazy that people want to fight and argue on the side of the road. Right. And all you're doing is making the situation worse. Because it feels like everybody wants to be a martyr. Everybody wants to have that gotcha video with the police right now on a traffic stop. And every time you walk up to somebody, they got a phone out. They're just recording you. They just want to catch that one moment. But hey, look what I got. Look what I found. And they want to try to use that and, make a name for themselves and make some money off of it.
There you go, brother. You got that right. I remember years ago, man, when I think I was in high school, maybe. A police officer accused me of vandalizing his car in some minor way. And all my buddies came up and they said, nah, Corbin wouldn't do anything like that. So it went to court, and my father called his old friend of his, Aubrey Williams. And Aubrey just came in and dealt with it. And then as we were going out, you know what Aubrey said? Almost exactly what you just said. He said, Corbin, don't ever argue with a police officer. Comply. If he or she has done something wrong, we'll deal with it in court. What you just said is basically what he said. And that was years ago.
And but that narrative has changed now, because we pass down traumas from generations to generations. Mm-hmm. And the reason why people want to argue on the side of the road is because they feel like they can't trust the system, and they really believe that they're not going to make it to the court date or such. And the media now has people believing that, you get pulled over, you're going to die. Right. You're just going to be killed by a cop. I'm like, that is not the case at all. Yeah. But and I see it every day. Every day. Just like the other day, we had a shooting at 17th Magazine. Mm-hmm. 2 kids got shot hanging out on their bikes. They got shot. And then while we're on that scene, the tones went off again, Corbin. And that young girl over on the 4100 block of Grand got shot up and shot in the head. And I remember when I was driving by, going to that run at 17th Magazine, and then when I was done and heading back, I drove by the park at 6th and Jefferson. Mm-hmm. And I saw the protesters out there doing their thing. And I was like, you know what? I ain't seen none of y'all West of 9th Street protesting these kids that just got shot or that young girl. Right. And I still say, where's her justice? Where's their justice? Where's their protest? Where's the answers for their families? And we continue to ignore that. And the one thing I'm really starting to realize and see, I just picked up this book by Manning Johnson. Mm-hmm. It's called Color, Common Sense, and Communism. Mm-hmm. And Manning Johnson, I just read the book, and I'm going to do a thing on it on my podcast, brother. Everything that is going on now has happened before in the past and has been by design by the Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
And this book details everything. You can read this book and you can apply it to what is going on in 2021 with BLM and all these far left groups and within the Black community.
Right.
It is man, I cannot wait to do the assessment on my podcast, brother. I'm excited about it and just ready to help educate some people because like I say, history is repeating itself, but we are now in this country trying to sanitize our history. And when we sanitize our history, we forget why things happened and we cannot afford that to happen. And because we've done that, this stuff is being reborn in current day.
Right.
And nobody notices it.
Well, let me say this real quick. This is Book Talk with Corbin. I'm your host. We have with us Dexter Pitts. He's been with us before. He's about, hopefully in about next 4 to 6 months, he'll have his book out, I Am Pitts. Please check out his podcast, I Am Pitts. And he just said he's going to review a great book. Brother, how did you come across that book?
Man, it's so weird. I was on Facebook one day just scrolling, and I saw this Black guy talking about why he left BLM. And typically, I don't watch too many videos on Facebook, because there's always something to it. And I just heard him talk about Manning Johnson worked for the Communist Party for 10 years. And he just started rolling down some of the things he was saying in his book. And I was like, hold up, man. This is kind of interesting, And from there, man, I got on my audiobooks. And I listened to the audiobook while I was working. Man, and it just stroked something in my soul, man, and in my spirit. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what's going on today. Right. Just randomly scrolling through Facebook. Man, and so I bought the book on top of the audiobook so I could take notes and just kind of make the connections between what he was talking about in the 1940s and 50s in 2021.
Wow. Man, it sounds powerful. And I'm glad you're going to do a review on that. Another thing that's been crossing my mind, brother, is forming some type of network of Black conservative podcasters, Black conservatives who are on YouTube, things like that, so that we all can just sort of be supportive of one another, uplifting and encouraging of one another, exchanging information, things like that. Because I tell you one thing, if these knuckleheads can basically censor or suppress the speech of the President of the United States, you can only but imagine if they wanted to, they could suppress us even more.
Sir.
And I was just sort of thinking through, hey, let's just have some sort of informal structure where we're all together, we're all connected, and we can all sort of talk to one another through Facebook and other means like that. And so other brothers can know, oh, okay, well, Pitts picked this up. He found this. Well, let me go check it out too. Or someone can say, hey, I know someone who's already done a review on that book. You may want to check it out. Just to have some sort of networking going on, some sort of so that we're encouraging one another and uplifting one another, things of that nature. Brother, I don't know if you've ever do some looking at Twitter, but a pastor that recently put on there, America the Evil.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all it was. He said, America the evil.
I find it funny how people say America the evil. We only focus on the negative aspects of America. And this is what I tell people. Like, yeah, you could dig into the past of any country and find evil acts that have been done by anybody. That ain't just America. You think right now they're selling slaves over in Africa and in Sudan and Chad, I believe, man. Yes. It ain't just America. But we always seem to forget how America defeated evil.
Right.
And see, stuff like that, when you say stuff like that and you don't give any context behind it, and then when you have people today who are not able to critically think for themselves, man, it just opens up the door and their minds start spinning and they just make up all these things about America that are not true. And this is what I ask you. America the evil, why are you still here? Why are you still here? Why? Because you're profiting off of all this division, man. And the one thing is, especially as a pastor, because I know my Bible. Well, at what point are you going to forgive America for its evil deeds, though? Because doesn't the Bible say, Father, how many times should we forgive them? 7 times 77.
Right.
The greatest debt we owe to our neighbors is to love them. But you cannot love somebody and constantly call them evil. It doesn't work that way. And that's why I get sick and tired of these pastors jumping on the social media bandwagon, trying to make Jesus out to be a social justice warrior. No, Jesus was not a social justice warrior. He was not. He was here to save the souls of all men. And that's the other thing I tell people. The Bible says, be fisher of men, not black men, not white men, not Asian men, just be fisher of men.
Right.
But like I say, that's the one thing about everything that has been driving me crazy since all this stuff started, Corbin, is this stuff has leaked into the churches. And in that book, he specifically mentions Negro churches and how they're being infiltrated by the Communist Party and ideals.
Yes.
Because as we know, communists, they don't believe in God.
Right.
But they know that they also have to creep real lightly around that area because they know that black people have historically been really very, very religious and Christian and live by those principles. Right. But as you see, we're getting more and more further and further away from that.
Yeah. And that's really disturbed me when I talk to, black folk in the community who are church going, who are Christians and all. And they're all a lot of them are into this woke stuff, critical race theory and all. But then I'll say, well, how does this relate to the scriptures? How are you lining this up with the scriptures? And they can't really respond to that. Can't give me any type of coherent, rational response to that. And also, I say, they're big on the Democratic Party, which is fine. If that's what you want, that's your thing. That's fine. But have you no concern that the Democratic Party has systematically and clearly and openly removed all references to God?
Yes, they did so publicly. I believe that what they voted out God. I was like, what the heck, man? And this is it. I say it makes me at a loss for words, and I don't understand. And it's happening before our eyes, and people aren't saying anything.
Right.
But I guess we're good as long as we're getting our small piece of the pie.
Yeah, ain't nobody a bigger sinner than me. I'm a filthy.
I got you beat.
I'm a filthy low sinner saved by grace. But bro, when I saw that, I shuddered. I was like, no, I couldn't. No, I got to step back.
I'm not surprised because I've heard those little things over the years. And I see you see more and more pastors getting into it. I used to be able to watch pastors online during COVID, but I just can't stomach them anymore because everybody's going woke.
Yeah.
Everybody's going woke. And I'm just like, this is not the way. Right. This is not the way. There is a one set standard. If you're going to be a Christian, we got to set standards. But like I said, there is no more standards. It's now we put Jesus Christ's love above Jesus Christ's judgment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole, no matter what you do, it's okay. Jesus is going to love you, which I do agree. But at a certain point, he's going to turn you over and let you have what you're doing.
Right. There you go. There you go.
You can't have it both ways. You can't straddle the fence. You can't serve God and the devil.
Right. There you go. Right. That's true. Brother, before I let you go, man, I was meeting with a group yesterday in Southern Indiana and really got into a real deep discussion with these folks about the Black community and Black conservatism and things of that nature. And I got to thinking, wondering, what are some principled positions that you think Black conservatives can rally around? What are some of those positions or principles that you think sort of distinguish Black conservatives from other political groupings? So, what do you think they should be?
Man, so I did a podcast on this. I called it the party of APR, accountability and personal responsibility. Those two right there, when you combine them, are powerful. Because if you have somebody to hold you accountable, you just can't do and say anything and get away with it. Right. And the personal responsibility aspect, that takes the white man off the table, and it takes the evil thought of America off the table, and it puts you in the driver's seat, and it forces you to take responsibility for your life and the things that have transpired in your life and for where your life is going to go. because with these other parties, like I said, we have a little bit of that in the conservative side as well as the, the liberal side. But the whole thing where it's not your fault, it's the system, that is a complete lie. A complete lie. And the fact that it says that you can't get ahead in this country, that's a lie. I know way too many black millionaires, and way too many. I know way too many successful black businessmen. I mean, police captains, police majors, police chiefs. Everywhere I go and look, I see black success. But it is because the media and the woke left and BLM and all these parties keep infusing into the black community that they are victims and that no matter what they do, the white man's going to have them down, that they'll never get ahead. And that is an escape for the black community from personal responsibility and any sort of accountability.
Right.
There's zero. Like I said, we had that shooting, those 2 shootings the other day. I was on the scene of the one with the 2 kids that got shot. Nobody wanted to point out the fact of who might have shot these kids, but everybody was looking to the police. This is y'all fault. It had nothing to do with us. Right. This is somebody within your community that did this, not us. I'm only here for 12 hours a day. Right. And I do my best to provide y'all with a service, but I can only do so much. People have to take their lives in their own hands. You have to take the power back from the government. And the government keeps that power by giving you a check and giving you a place to stay. And people, that is a safety net. And because of that, people do not go out because people hear the words like freedom and they think freedom comes with responsibility. Here you go. It comes with a lot of responsibility. And that's why I always go back to APR, accountability, personal responsibility. We could rally the entire black conservative movement around those 2 things and just form a powerful movement. But like I said, people don't want those things because it forces them to look at themselves in their own raw image and be like, man, I don't like this. It's uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable when you don't have nobody to blame, when you don't have a scapegoat and you got to look at yourself and be like, man, I'm not that great of a person. That was stupid of me. Right. This is all my fault. And it's comfortable to always have that person to blame, brother. Right. Yeah, you're right about that, man. You're right about that. Accountability and personal responsibility. You've already done something like that on one of your podcasts. Tell my folks where they can go to get your podcast. Everybody, you can go to Podbean and go on there and look for I Am Pitts, and you will find the I Am Pitts podcast where I, Dexter Pitts, am the host. I appreciate y'all support and appreciate y'all for coming and listening to me too. And if you do, please make sure you leave a comment in the section and subscribe and like and share, please. Subscribe and like and share. Subscribe, like, and share, folks. Please, let's do this. And do you have a website, brother? No, I'm still working on that. I'm not too tech savvy. Like I said, I'm still learning a lot of this stuff, man. Right. Yeah, still learning. So hopefully I'm gonna get a website with the book and get some art cover and all this. So this is all brand new to me, uncharted territory. So I'm just kind of going and figuring it out as I go along and looking to people like you to help me along, brother. Yeah. Hey, man, what's going to happen if this thing really blows up and takes off? And next thing you know, you got people knocking on your door saying, hey, you're going to run for office. How are you going to respond to that? Have you given that some thought? I will not be running for any sort of office. I tell you, I got 2 ex-wives, brother. That ain't going to happen. I hear that, brother. Nope. Now, like I say, I wouldn't want my kids exposed. My kids get enough exposure to stuff with me being a cop, and me just having a podcast is enough scrutiny, and doing a book is enough scrutiny to be on that level. I honestly feel like I can affect more change on a ground level at my house with my family and raising my family up to a certain standard with conservative and Christian principles and values and sending them out into the world. And also just educating people and telling people to, don't just cast a vote, educate yourself before you cast a vote. There you go. Just little stuff like that. That's right. All right, man. Let me end it right here, man. It's good as usual. Hope we can have you on again sometime. Just talk. It's always good talking to you, man, because you're always teaching, man. I appreciate you, Corbin. Really do, brother. You're doing good things, man. Keep it going. Thank you, bro. I'll be in touch. Yes, sir.